Hi, I'm Rocio Guerrero, the Executive Director of the Latin GRAMMY Cultural Foundation. For the fourth year in a row, our foundation and She Is the Music will pair the Latin Recording Academy's leading ladies of entertainment as mentors with the next generation of women in music through our mentorship program. Thank you for joining the Leading Ladies of Entertainment Connect Together panel. Maria Esperanza Delgado Camacho and Anabella Paolucci are hosting the panel and are mentees of this year's program. It will be their questions that drive the discussion of this panel, joined by 4 of our mentees, which include Leading Ladies of Entertainment 2022 recipient Rocio Guerrero, Global Head of Latin Music for Amazon. Our 2024 recipient, SVP of Universal Publishing, Ana Rosa Santiago. Luana Pagani, recipient from 2019 and founder of Fairwinds Entertainment, and joined by renowned award-winning journalist Maria Elena Salinas, who was part of the 2020 inductees. Ladies, you have our attention.
Thank you, Rocky, and the Latin GRAMMY Cultural Foundation. She is the music and AARP for giving us this opportunity.
I can't wait to get into this conversation, so let's get started. Thank you so much for being here to our mentors. We have Rocio, Maria Elena, Luana, and Ana Rosa. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Was there a particular mentor who inspired you? What lessons did she teach you that you now pass on others?
I have to say that my mom, as a woman and growing up as a woman, ella es mi mentora número uno, right? But as an executive and being part of the Latin industry, I've been blessed. I have to say, I've been blessed. I have very good mentorship, especially my boss, who I've been working with her like 27 years, I guess. But also, I also have Jody Gerson, who is the chairman, the only women chairman in Universal Music Publishing, right? And it's also, I've been blessed because women power, it's, I'm learning constantly every day as a woman and as an executive.
I admire managers like Barbara Carr, is Bruce Springsteen's manager. I admire her a lot because she did an amazing career. She's probably in her late 70s now, and she started when no woman was a manager, or when women were not. There were women managers, but they were not regarded. It was the girl instead of being, the executive, no. And I think that, and she also had a personal life, which is another amazing thing. Some people dedicate so much time to their career that they don't have the time for a personal life, but she did. She has 2 kids, and that's important too. I think that you have to be happy to be able to work and to be creative.
I think the same for me as her is my mother when I think about it, because in journalism I started in 1981, and back then there were not very many women that were doing the work that I was doing. There were a few on a local level, very few on a national level, but there was certainly no Latina that I could look up to. I was one of the first when I started in 1981. But the reason why I say my mother and my father, sometimes you're looking for information and you don't realize that you grew up with that information. And sometimes they're, brighter than the most intelligent philosophers with just very plain life lessons that you get. So, from my mother and my father, I learned, one, you never stop learning. Another is always try to be the best at whatever you do. Another is don't allow yourself to be mediocre, and don't be a conformist. And you can apply that to everything, to any part of your career. And I think that's what I have done all the way through. One of my favorite ones of that is never stop learning, because I think in order to be able to take advantage of the mentors, in order to be able to learn from them, you have to be open and you have to understand that, no, I have not reached the highest level that I can reach. And I always said, I never want to feel that I'm at the pinnacle of my career, because then you only have 2 options. either you hang on to your life or you start going down. So then, constantly grow. And I also had a lot of my former bosses. I learned from each and every one of them up to the last minute. You just have to learn to absorb it. And the reason why I say that is sometimes people think that I already know that. I don't need to learn from other people. I already have so much experience, or I've done this, or I've done that. No, you constantly are able to learn, and you have to be receptive to learning and to growing as a person and as a professional.
I think it's such a beautiful thing that we were all talking about our moms, because I was going to talk about my mom.
It's true, right?
But and something specific to my mom, or in general myself, I never really thought that because I was a woman, I couldn't do something or I could not do something. Like, it's not something that I've been every day of my life thinking, I don't think I can do this because I'm a woman. Not at all. And I'm thinking now, as they were talking, I'm thinking, well, maybe it's because I grew up seeing my mom. She was the breadwinner in my household. And like, to me, that was just the way it was. And she has like, I don't know how many degrees, and she's written many books, and she's a pianist, and she has 4 kids. So for me, it was just, okay, I guess you just need to multitask a lot and just go with it. And here I am. I'm basically a copy of my mom. And yeah, so I guess what I'm trying to say, it never stopped me from like doing one thing or another. With that said, there was something, and I still have a lot of room to grow in this specific area I'm gonna talk about, but the negotiating skills, which we don't often maybe so much talk about. Like, I've struggled during my career to like kind of like, I'm in big corporations and I've been working in big corporations. And I have struggled with that, standing up for myself when it comes to compensation or any other type of benefits, or, just stopping certain patterns from happening. And Rebecca Leon, who is a very well-known manager, obviously, she was always helping me with that. And she was always telling me, like, you need to stand for yourself. This is how you have to negotiate. It's not when you get a seat at the table, it's what you do with that seat at the table. So I wanted to mention her just because that skill, I don't know if my mom was good or bad at that, to be honest, because I wasn't in a room with her when she negotiated her salary. But it's something that I have looked at other women to get better at, if that makes sense.
And it's so difficult.
It's very difficult.
I can negotiate whatever amount of money for an artist, but when it comes to me, it's really hard. It's really hard.
And all of my managers have been men, always. I don't think I ever had a women manager, actually. So that's a different dynamic, right? Yeah. So it's very challenging to negotiate on your own. Maybe you can negotiate on behalf of artists, and that's so much easier, right? Or even on behalf of my team. Like, when I try to fight for my team's compensation to my boss, it's so easy. Like, I am so confident about what they deliver and what they don't. And I think one of the reasons why maybe women might be different than men in those negotiating skills is because imposter syndrome we might over-index on that, because we just joined the workforce, so to speak. We haven't had like centuries of like women being in the workforce. So I think there is catch up to do. We're moving fast, but I think it's something to do with imposter syndrome.
And women analyze everything a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not
That is what
qualified
I
for
was
that
going to
job.
say.
You'll never hear a man say, "Can you do this?" And he has no idea how to do it. He says, "Of course I can do it."
Yeah.
Even if he has absolutely no skills in that. And that's just something innate, because we're perfectionists and we want to do it right, and we analyze it and say, well, yeah, I probably can do it, but I can't say right now that I can do it because I can't, but I can prepare for that. So in a way, it's imposter syndrome. In a way, it's like overthinking and not realizing our worth, our value.
Well, even when you make a mistake, like a man, when he makes a mistake, he's like, oh, it didn't work out. I go home and I'm like, oh, how could I be such an idiot? I should have done it.
Yes.
I should have said this, that, the other. You know?
Yes.
So it goes so long.
Yes.
And men like, oh yeah, it just didn't pan out.
But that's why what we do also brings a holistic perspective. Something that I've seen in the women that I work with is that the 360 view, right? Like, we're really good at that, and I think it's important that we talk about it. You know, I always tell my husband he's great, linear. I mean, of course, we cannot generalize. Not all men and women are the same, right? But he, at least in my marriage, I can talk about that. He's very linear, very good, dive deep, amazing. I struggle a little bit more with that direction, like unilateral, but I'm better at like 360 type of thinking, and I think that's really good in the workforce as well.
Because women have that God-given talent of multitasking.
Yes.
Absolutely. We can do it all.
Yes.
And we can. We just have to understand that we can do it all and actually do it.
This is all so great to hear, especially because it just feels so daunting jumping into the industry, but it's really inspiring to hear all of this. This next question is for you, Maria Elena. You've dedicated your career to amplifying Latin voices in media. Where do you think Latin representation in journalism stands today, and what more needs to be done?
I think a lot, as with women, we have had progress, but we have a long way to go. So I worked in Spanish language media for 37 years, and of course we have representation there. But when I moved over to first CBS and then ABC, I realized that yes, there are Latino names, but there are not Latino stories. They're just names and faces. Like any given day, you can see ABC, CBS, NBC, the three major networks, and you'll always see a Latino face. But where are our stories? And that's where I think that representation matters, and there's not enough of that. We don't have any at the executive level, except Cesar Conde at NBC, of course. But we don't have the people that we need to have that representation. So we have to either look for representation or allies. When just a short anecdote, when I was at ABC, there was a massacre in Uvalde where 21 people were killed, 19 children, and ABC decided to do a project that's never been done, stay in Uvalde for a year and cover the story for a year to see how the community evolves or doesn't evolve, or how they heal. And the president of news at the time, Kim Godwin, who was an African American, put a group together. She asked John Quiñones and myself to join that group. Usually, and those of you who know about production know that when producers get together, they don't include talent. We're like, no, not talent. This is only for producers. So they included us, and she said, I want John Quiñones and yourself to lead this coverage. Why? Because this is a 95% Latino community, because you know them culturally, they trust you, and we can get the best stories with you because they will open up to you because you identify culturally with them. So I do think representation matters, whether it's Latinos or African Americans or any other group. It really does matter.
Well, this next question is for Luana, and I might be moving to Spanish if everybody's comfortable.
Oh, yes.
¿Sí? ¿Vamos a español?
Vamos.
Vamos para allá.
Vamos.
Pues mi pregunta es, como una experta en el desarrollo de artistas, ¿cómo planificas normalmente el nutrir y guiar a los nuevos talentos a través de tu compañía Fairwinds?
Bueno, primero, para mí lo más importante es encontrar artistas que son de verdad, que no tratan de ser como otro para ser famoso, sino que tienen un arte propio y quieren manifestarlo. Mi trabajo en realidad no es una ciencia tan complicada, es darle las herramientas a esas personas que tienen talento para que puedan conectar con las personas que quisieran escucharlos. ¿Cómo lo hago? Tengo muchas reuniones, hablamos de muchas cosas, vemos muchas veces qué sienten, qué no sienten, qué les da miedo, qué les gustaría. Hay artistas que saben exactamente quiénes son, hay artistas que nacen sabiendo quiénes van a ser y cómo quieren demostrar su arte, y hay otros que no. Entonces hay cosas para los ayudo. También hay gente que quizá ha escuchado poca música, o digamos, es como todo un tema con el artista. Y después, claro, con los medios y con cómo voy a hacer yo para que esa persona conecte con sus audiencias, que no traten de ser otro porque está de moda. O sea, si tú eres un artista que le gusta, no sé, la música, el rock, classic rock and roll, que no trates de hacer reggaetón porque it's not going to work out, no te va a salir. Y eso quizá es lo más fundamental. Y además que sean trabajadores. It's a lot of work. Se tiene que trabajar mucho para llegar a algo.
Okay, this next question is for Ana Rosa. With your vast experience, what do you believe are the most important qualities for a Latin artist to have when succeeding on a global stage? And how do you think the genre will continue to influence mainstream music and pop culture worldwide?
Hace muchos años se hablaba del artista latino, el crossover, right? El artista latino hacía un crossover y cantaba, tenía la canción en español y tenía la canción en inglés, ¿no? Y eso era el crossover. Ya no se necesita tener la canción en español y en inglés para ser escuchados alrededor del mundo. Entonces, el género latino está y vino para quedarse, está aquí y es parte de todos los streams que tenemos y de todas las plataformas en todas partes. Que tiene que tener ese artista global, ese artista latino global, como decía Luana, mucho compromiso, tiene que tener el compromiso, el hambre de querer hacer lo que le gusta, tener la autenticidad para que su audiencia pues, se conecte, ¿no? Y una vez tenga ese conecte con su audiencia, entonces sí puede llegar everywhere.
Next question's for Rocio. Rocio, I've loved personally hearing your story because of your past with classical violin and classical piano. So your journey from classical piano and violin performance to studying journalism to creating Spotify's first ever Spanish language playlist is so inspiring and incredible. How has your diverse musical background shaped your approach to elevating Latin music and building new opportunities in the industry?
Looking back, I never really thought about what that education was providing to me. Instead, it was just something annoying. But looking back, and as I grew up, now I understand that it gave me the understanding of the craftsmanship that goes behind creating a piece of art like a song, right? It gave me that respect for music. When you're in a streaming platform, sometimes it can become very transactional, and you guys can attest to this. We get a song in a link, you open the song, you listen to it, you're like, okay, cool, maybe not, whatever, I don't know. We'll see what fans think about. When you understand what goes behind that file that goes in your inbox, it's a total different story. So I believe it gave me that respect. But in addition, I think because I had classical, but I was also listening to, I don't know, Carlos Vives or any other like artist, right? It allowed me to be very tolerant with music. I started curating, and one of the things that to me was so important is that the more open you are with music, the better music you're gonna serve. And also it was kind of like putting the soundtrack of people's lives, right? And I think we need to be open because there is a music for every moment and every minute and every situation. It's not about genres anymore, it's about how you feel. And I think that diverse musical background, so to speak, allow me to be more open and therefore to present a more diverse offering of music.
And I'm going again for Luana. I got it with you today. So let's try in English now, so we give like 50-50. What are the key elements you look for when considering working with a new artist?
Discipline, talent, but probably talent is not the super majority.
No.
I think that
Not anymore, I guess.
No, you can't. If you're super talented and you're a slob, I mean, it doesn't really work out. There's a lot of work, and discipline is super important. It's not. It is well, I think that, like, for example, arriving on time is a sign of respect. An artist that arrives on time gets way further than the one that doesn't. Talent, of course. I really prefer it to be a good human being. Compassion, open-mindedness.
Yeah.
Very important. And that's pretty much it. And, be willing to work. Really, it is and there is a thing, I mean, I cannot really explain it, but it happens to me also when I hire people. There is a thing that you see in people that connects with you, and it is so hard to explain.
Pixie dust.
Yes.
Pixie dust.
Yes. And that I can, sometimes I listen to a new artist and I think that he's virtuoso and the music is amazing and everything, but you talk to him or you see him and it's like,
Yeah.
And there are others that are not, a little tone deaf, and they are not really like super amazing musicians, and then they have this thing that connects and that you feel it.
Is it like in romance where you either have chemistry or you don't?
Yes.
It's the it factor. It's
Yes, it's
something,
something-
that you can't explain, but it's there and you can feel it.
This next question is for Maria Elena. What makes an artist's story newsworthy, and how have you seen a specific artist impact the world on a world scale?
That they're talented, that they're simpaticos, that they're personable, that they're, I think there's a lot of things. I did have, I think, the honor throughout my career of not only doing hard news and covering elections and covering, so many things, but I also interviewed several entertainers. I worked on a show called Aquí y Ahora, which is sort of like a 60 Minutes in Español. And a lot of the artists, and we were talking about this before, a lot of the artists did gravitate toward Aquí y Ahora and would give us these exclusive interviews because they knew that we were serious journalists and that we wanted to tell their story, and it wasn't farandula, and it wasn't a gossip show, and we weren't after the newest, the last chisme or the last scandal. We wanted to tell their story. So I think, there's people that are very famous, and there's people that are almost very famous, but that they have a story to tell, that they have maybe their story of success, or maybe it's their life story. And, you have to do a little bit of research to understand what they have and then be able to approach them and make them feel comfortable about telling their story. Because a lot of entertainers really don't like the media. Like they've been saying, they're entertainers. They are there because they want to sing or they want to play or they want to perform. They don't want to be interviewed, They didn't sign up for, I got to spill the beans and talk about my personal life and talk about my childhood and childhood traumas and all that kind of stuff, right? So you have to tread lightly. And I think that's why we always work. I know that they, as representatives, always, they need the media, but they kind of be careful who they give the interview to, because if that person is famous for trying to make that person look bad and then get a viral moment and then it becomes a scandal, and that's not what we do. So I have had the fortune of interviewing many very important and very famous and very nice, individuals, from Ricky Martin to Shakira to Luis Miguel to Tino y Nacho to J Balvin to who else? Pitbull. Pitbull was one of my favorite. I'll see. The reason why I'm telling you this because Pitbull has an amazing story. And we did a whole 1 hour with him because it's not only, you hear him speak and he's so inspirational, and he talks about being positive. He doesn't just say it in his songs, turn a negative into a positive. He has turned his life into something positive, and he sponsors a magnet school of sports that he pays for himself, to support his community. So that's someone that is giving back. He's got an amazing story to tell. Now, if you just saw him perform on stage, you wouldn't know that. So it's a story worth telling. I remember the very first time I met him, my daughters were, well, now they're 28 and 30, but at that time they were like 10 and 12. And I said, why do you have to sing that song? I love your music, but like going to the motel. I mean, my daughters are so little and they sing that song. And he just laughed it off, right? And that's the vision that I had of him. And once I got to know him and I interviewed him, and he's just a very special person. But like him, I mean, I just pointed him out. There are a lot of others. And you don't want to push too much. You want to be respectful, and I think it's important for us to be respectful. If I know that there is something that is very personal of an artist that they don't want to talk about, you have to, as a journalist, say what is more important, the need for your audience to know this, or for you to respect this person's decision not to talk about this. And that's how you gain their trust. So they will give you an interview if they trust you. And for journalists, if you don't have trust, you don't have anything. If people don't believe you and trust you, then you don't have a career.
And then as a follow-up, you are usually the one asking the hard questions. How would you suggest handling media interviews to create a lasting impression from the other side?
Well, one thing, like I mentioned, is think about who you want to give the interview to, and what medium do you want to use. You know, what media outlet do you want to use to be able to get your message across? I think that's very important. Is it television? Is it newspaper? And you know, who is the journalist that is doing that? And be prepared for it, because there's a lot of entertainers, and I think we've talked about that here, that are very shy, or they're very temperamental, or they don't like to talk about their personal life. But you do have to be prepared to answer whatever is asked of you, because if you don't, and you don't know how to answer a question, or you get mad when a question is asked of you, then that is the image that you are going to give and that you're going to project to the people that are watching you. Because someone might like your music and say, oh my God, that singer is like amazing. I love the music, and I like to dance to it. I like to listen to it. I like to cry to it. I like to fall in love to it. Whatever it is they have to offer. But then you get to know them as a person, and you see them in an interview, and you realize that they're arrogant, or that they have nothing to say, or that they get mad. You know, el que se enoja pierde.
Yeah.
So you have to be very careful, because sometimes when you become too defensive, then that becomes the viral moment that you don't want out there. So I think that these ladies probably do a very good job in preparing their artist to face these questions and know how to answer them. As with all due respect, I prefer not to answer that, and that is, you know, part of my personal life, and this is my pub, you know, whatever it is that you want to answer. But I do think that's important, because when you're a public person, you owe yourself to the public, and it's very difficult to make that division and say, well, you can reach here, but you can't go this far. I will only offer myself as an artist up to here, and then you can't go. You have the right to do it, but you have to be careful on how you do that. Otherwise, you know, you lose a lot. As much as I like your music, but you come across as someone that is not a nice person, and then you might lose some audience. What do you think?
Credibility. You lose all credibility.
And with social media, you know, like people can construct todo un mensaje totalmente diferente because of your answer or your action or your reaction to a question that you didn't like. So you need to be prepared for, as an artist, you need to be prepared for all the questions que puede ser comprometedoras.
I think that social media has changed. I mean, in the past you had the threat, let's say, of the journalist only. It was
Don't look at me when you say that, because I was not threatening.
No. But there were many that were.
I was respectful.
There were many that were. But it was just a moment in time.
Right.
Social media is it's a whole different animal.
Yeah.
And I think that people are so exposed, particularly artists. They just, I mean, it's such they are so exposed to anyone saying anything, and you know, it's very, very complicated.
Scary. You get canceled
Scary.
in 1 second. You're
In a
canceled.
second.
Yes.
In a second.
In a second.
And it takes you years to get it back.
Yes.
Or never get, or
never
never
get
get
back.
back.
Yes. You build something, build it, and one day
You make a mistake.
You make a mistake, or you're taken out of context as well.
Yeah.
Or you can take it.
Yeah, and it is the end.
Yeah.
It's really, really.
Yeah, I think as fans, and even though we all work in the industry in one way or another at a different capacity, you know, we're fans too. And fans establish a relationship with the people that they admire and the people that they like. And you have to nurture that relationship. I mean, it's kind of sad and tough for the artist.
Yep.
¿No? But my mom used to say all the time, no soy monedita de oro para caerle bien a todos, ¿no?
Yes.
Pero ni modo, tienes que caer bien a todos if you
Yes.
want to succeed and you want people to, you know, listen to your music and to buy your music or to watch your show.
Es una presión total.
Tremenda, sí.
Bueno, basándonos en esto, Luana, me gustaría preguntarte cómo debería un artista curar, armar su imagen en social media y su imagen pública en general para cuidar a la audiencia y al mismo tiempo ser auténtico pero sin meterse en camisas de once varas y no ser cancelado, por ejemplo?
Es muy difícil. En realidad es muy difícil y muy complicado porque además de ser artista, de todas estas cosas, talentoso, trabajar, todo esto, también son humanos. Y los humanos nos equivocamos y tenemos días divinos y otros días horribles. Y los días horribles, claro, nosotros lo que tratamos es sacarle el teléfono, pero si no se puede hacer eso, ¿sabes aquello que está ahí triste en su casa a las 3 de la mañana y empieza a escribir tonterías? Ha pasado muchas veces. En realidad, tratar de hacer un poquito de damage control en ese sentido y tener un buen equipo de social media en realidad, que pueda, digamos, hay como realmente hay como dos avenidas. Una es la avenida de lo que tú quieres comunicar como un artista, que es, tengo música nueva, estoy grabando, me gusta esto, lo otro, no me gusta tal cosa, adoro, no sé, el violín, el piano, soy una persona feliz, etc. Y la otra es el ser humano. Entonces, toda la parte de lo que es su carrera y vida artística, no es controlable, porque es una palabra fea, pero es manejable más fácilmente porque hay todo un mensaje y el mensaje, claro, se da de una manera u otra. La parte humana, bueno, pray que no se le ocurra ponerse a escribir tonterías a la hora que no debe, ¿no? Porque en realidad hay gente que nunca lo hace y hay otra gente que sí. Hay gente que es más controlada y otra que no. Y cuando no es tan controlada, bueno, tratar de hacer lo más posible damage control, tener una conversación, decirle, don't do it again.
¿Me permiten hacer un follow-up? ¿Es más difícil para las mujeres que para los hombres? Porque las mujeres, aparte de su personalidad y todo, siempre las juzgan por que sí salieron con maquillaje, que sí están muy gordas,
sí,
que sí están muy flacas, que su falda está muy corta, que su escote está muy...
Tremendo, sí, y además que, bueno, que todos somos vulnerables al social media. No es solo el artista, es tú, imagínate, pones una foto tuya y dices, mira esa gorda horrible, y tú te sientes gorda horrible, aunque seas la más linda del mundo. Claro. ¿No? Eso no claro. Es una vulnerabilidad tremenda. Entonces, para un artista que es, bueno, un artista o tú que eres una figura pública, ¿no? Nosotras tres estamos más protegidas, ¿no? Estamos protegidas por layers de cosas, pero tú también eres una figura pública.
Yo cuido lo que publico muy poco.
No, pero claro, imagínate que un día digan, no sé, Maria Elena cada día está más gorda. Bueno, tú realmente te sientes
obvio,
mal.
Claro.
O no sé, o sea, has cortado ese pelo horrible. Entonces tú dices, ay Dios mío. No, es como que es una vulnerabilidad. El social media sí.
Sí, pero luego ves la foto de la persona que lo dijo y dices,
sí,
whatever.
O ni tiene fotos porque no se atreve. Porque no se atreve.
Claro. Claro, pero lo que pasa es que para criticar la gente no tiene... Y tienes razón, con las mujeres son mucho peores, ¿no? Bueno, ni hablemos de envejecer. Una pobre mujer no puede envejecer, tiene que tener siempre 35 años.
Sí. Y cada vez que hay una barriguita está embarazada.
Sí,
seguro.
Sí.
No, y en TikTok analizan, sí, porque mira, si la ves así
y hay fotos de...
No, es un constante... juzgarte, sí, una presión y un judgment constante, ¿no? Que es espantoso. Y claro, también, imagínate, nosotros que, voy a decir algo feo, pero es cierto, yo soy muchísimo menos sensible que un artista. Y entonces, no sé, esa persona la destrozan las cosas, ¿no? Claro. A mí pienso, no sé, no estoy tan expuesta. Entonces sí, es muy complicado. Realmente yo no tengo una respuesta, creo que hay que navegarlo como se puede, catch them as they come, ¿no?
Claro. Bueno, Ana Rosa, tengo una pregunta para ti. I have a question for you. And I was wondering, what do you believe makes a songwriter truly stand out in today's music industry?
Well, as a songwriter, es importante mantenerse auténtico y sobre todo conectar. Los géneros hay una distinción, sobre todo para escribir, ¿no? El género urbano utiliza ciertas palabras o ciertas expresiones que no necesariamente en el género pop o salsa u otros eso se utiliza, ¿no? Pero ese compositor, ese autor tiene que estar completamente, ser auténtico, ¿no? Para poder conectar. O sea, si estás escribiendo una canción con el artista y el artista está explicándote sobre cómo se siente, qué es lo que ese compositor, ese autor debe tener esa sensibilidad de sentir lo que el artista le está expresando para poderlo llevar a la pluma, ¿no? O a la canción, ¿no? Y tener esa sensibilidad, empatía, y también como el cuero duro, porque cuando entran a un estudio no necesariamente se conocen todos, ¿no? Entonces, poder abrirse en el estudio, ¿no? Poder abrirse en el estudio y tener esa conexión con el artista y con los demás que están en la sesión, pues sí, tienes que tener un poquito la actitud, ¿no? Para poder llevar eso en el mensaje de la canción.
So now this question is for Rocio. What are the key trends in Latin music consumption that creators should be aware of right now?
I don't think it's a trend from today or this month or this year. I think it's been a trend that's been happening throughout the last years. And I think Latin music and the genres that have been more predominant, like obviously urban and reggaeton, etc. Like now it's all getting a little more fluid. So I don't think like neither fans or artists need to necessarily be in a box, and they don't want to be in a box. And I feel like that's the way consumption happens, and that's the way music at the studio is happening. And you know, you were talking about the studio. The more open-minded they are, the better the sounds that are. And right now you can hear Regional Mexicano with flamenco, and that would be okay. In fact, we did that last year at the Grammys in Sevilla. We had Karin Leon, and he was singing a flamenco. So like you can, you know, like it's becoming so beautiful in that sense. I feel like we were able to break through the noise of the global landscape. And now that we have the ears of the world, we are able to showcase the richness of the culture. So I guess that's a very long answer to say that something that's happening in the last years is that the genres are way more mixed with each other. And I love that, actually. I think it's a more creative landscape. I feel like, you know, in the past, like it was way more boxy. Like definitely you're an artist, a pop artist, that's your label forever, see you later, that's it. And like that was really with everything. But now you can have Bad Bunny do a salsa song and everybody loves it. And that's cool, that's okay. And that takes me, it's a good segue for the second point I wanted to make, that is also about respecting a lot the catalog music and the older music and generations. Like I feel like the artists of today are less scared of just like trying with going to the past and bringing it back. Going back to Bad Bunny or Karol G's songs that are Selena style, like all of these artists are being fearless in that sense. And I feel the fans are also, particularly in the US Latino population, the young generations are so proud of who they are and where they come from, that they are bringing back these sounds and they are very excited about it. And even like the merchandising that they buy is connected to catalog artists. That's very interesting. It's one of the most sold items is like catalog, like t-shirts from artists and things. Vinyl is coming back. Like physical in general is coming back. There is just this like evolution of something that was sparked because it wasn't cool, and like again you just go and do this one thing that they're telling you to do, and now it's all more fluid, and I'm all up for it, to be honest.
Collaborations also. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Collaborations also brings that special, you know, special sound. No es nada nuevo, but that mix of two things or two genres, right, brings the new sound, and that's something that they're more risk. Now it's like I'm both. Right now, I am proud to be Latino because those are my that's my heritage. That's my sound. I grew up listening to Latin music. I was like speaking English outside, but in my house yo hablo español y hablo con mi tía, con mi abuela, and that's something that now this new generation, I think
Powered by it.
it's more exactly. It's more like, okay, let's bring that sound back and let's mix it with this other like bolero, or you know, and that's something that our music, it's getting like richer, right? Because
it's very
of that.
exciting.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is, like, in the radio in the past, it was way more like specific. Like, to get to the top 40, you needed to do a specific sound, and it had to be done this way, and this is the marketing that you have to do. Now all of that is so different, which is driving like labels and managers and artists and ourselves crazy, because there is not like a formula. Right. It's not a magic formula.
No, there's not.
This song might like break it, this song might not. It's just, there is no formula right now.
There was two things I wanted to say. One is when you were talking about music from the past. I've been in the car with my youngest daughter many times where she likes to listen to indie music, whatever that means. And then I hear these songs and I said, wait a minute, that was in my times when I was in high school, like 50 years ago. And she says, no, that's a remix. And she loves it. And we sing the song. We both know the words to a song that I used to listen to when I was in high school. That's one thing. But another thing I want to say is, I really truly believe that our Latino musicians, singers, artists are sort of like goodwill ambassadors for our community and for our region, for all of Latin America, because, like you said before, they're all over the world. I remember when Pope John Paul II, or whatever his name was, died, which is many years ago. I was in Rome covering it, and after the coverage, I'm walking down in a street in Italy, and I go into a store, and we're listening to Daddy Yankee, Gasolina. I'm thinking, what? I'm in Italy and I'm listening to Gasolina. I mean, and since then it's been a long time. Right. But in this country, sometimes it's hard for Latinos to find their space, and we go through good patches and bad patches, and some patches where there's a rejection against our culture. But everybody likes our music and our food.
Yeah.
Everybody likes our music and our food, no matter what language they are, no matter what color they are, no matter what their background is. So that's what I think the power and the importance of Latin music is. Yeah. They might not understand it, but they're dancing to it.
Yeah,
I have to add something that is it goes with both and her too. I used to manage Los Angeles Azules, which is a Mexican band, cumbia band, and they have a career that spans for 45 years. So the person that books Coachella called us and he said, I would like to book Angeles Azules. And we really thought it was a joke in the beginning, I have to say. And then finally they played Coachella. And it was so amazing because, there were all these kids and I asked the booker, who, by the way, looks like 12 and he's like 25. And I asked him, listen, how come that you wanted to book Angeles Azules? And he was like, well, I'm Mexican American and I grew up listening to that music. And I knew it was going to hit a chord in the people in the audience. And I saw Justin Bieber dancing to Angeles Azules, which was a great moment for them and for everyone, no? So to your point, yes, it connects generations too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
So there is this thing many of you mentioned in the previous question about going back to music of the past, music that maybe our parents, our grandparents listened to, and bring it back to what we would say pop or more like commercial music. Would you say, or would you maybe think that it might be coming back because we're kind of getting tired of so much synthetic things all around us now with AI and everything? Maybe now we're trying to bring back some acoustic authenticity, humanity. I don't know.
I don't know if it's about the. I believe like music, like synthetic music or electronic music or more like built in the computer music is not gonna go anywhere. But I do think that, and we were talking about the connection, how that in Latin music in particular, that word is so important. I think it's about how the music make feel the new generation. So I don't think it's necessarily just because it's synthetic versus no, it's because it's what their grandmas put them when they were growing up.
Yeah.
And I think it's about that nostalgia.
Nostalgia. It's the nostalgia.
It's the nostalgia. The vinyls, once again, it's the nostalgia. The merch of Selena Quintanilla is nostalgia. I don't know, I mean, look, I would love to believe that the craftsmanship behind music continues to become more and more complex. I don't know if that's what's gonna happen, maybe, but I think it's more about the emotional connection.
Yeah.
Thanks to the fact that we can go to our phones and pick whatever we want to pick and listen to whatever we want. One of my favorite things to do is just, be with a group of friends and everybody say like, which is your favorite song and of all time? And it might be a rock and roll song, or it might be a country song, or it might be a reggaeton, or it might be a bolero. Like me, I always pick the boleros. And it's so much fun because music is nostalgia, and it's whether you want to dance, whether you want to cry, whether you want to laugh, whether you want to fall in love, you want to get sad. I used to love canciones cortavenas. Oh my God.
El despecho.
Call me a masochist. I don't know why, but I love those songs. So I mean, that's what music does, and nobody does it better than Latin music.
And
in all the genres throughout.
Yeah. I think that's something that artists, it's like feeling right now, it's the artist wants to create songs that they can feel it's believable for them, right? And something that, as creators, they come up with a song that they wanted to bring something from their parents when they were growing up, or de la abuelita, or something that they used to listen to, in their tíos' houses or whatever, right? Or when everybody gather up together for Thanksgiving or for any family moment, right? But I think the artist right now, it's more able to create that, and bringing that to their songs. They're bringing the moment, the nostalgia, the feeling good, and definitely they're connecting not only with the audience, the new audience, but also connecting with the audience for that time, right? So it's part of like how the artist is feeling and the way they are expressing their music.
Yeah, exactly, because as Rocio said, there are no more formulas.
Exacto.
You can have, Caril Leon went to the All Opry show the other day in Nashville, and he's a theoretically regional Mexican
We
artist.
did the first song we think.
I know.
Sí.
But is that it's more free.
Yeah.
It's better, it's more creative, it's more conducive to creation.
I think because more people listen to more music.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because of what you were saying before, when streaming came, it was like, wait, so I remember the first time I tried, I was like, wait, is this real? Is this for free? Is this illegal? Like, I remember thinking, okay, this is too good to be true. And yes, sure, I did listen to a lot of music, obviously, but it wasn't to the extent of how much music do you listen to now? Because you can go a whole day through different eras, and but all of that is also happening to the artists. Like they know that they can experience with all of those sounds, because now they're making music for moments, not for genres, which is what I was trying to articulate before. Now they might think like, this song I'm gonna create, I want it for nostalgia. I want people to remember their abuelitos. And this one, I want it to party hardcore. So maybe I use more synthetic sounds, and that's okay. And now, now because streaming allows all of that 24 hours a day that you can listen to music and to relax, to whatever, then the artists are also able to put more music for that.
This next question is for everyone. What piece of advice would you give to young women aspiring to have leadership roles in the music industry but struggle with imposter syndrome or self-doubt?
Don't overthink. I think fearless is the word. tírate de cabeza. Pues, ¿qué te puede pasar? Pues si te diste, levántate y sigue caminando. I mean, en mi casa me decían, más abajo vive gente, right? And it means, that you will, now you're probably struggling in the moment, but those are lessons, right? Lecciones de vida que te tienes que levantar y seguir y definitivamente tú aprendes de todas las cosas que te están pasando, de las buenas y de las que tú piensas que no son tan buenas. But they are. Tienen que estar en tu vida. Just be fearless, be there, vive el presente, el momento, and don't overthink.
It's important, obviously, to believe in yourself, but I also think it's important to be self-critical. Like actually think.
Yes, exactly.
Like we're going back, but like if you're not self-critical, that means you're not humble. If you're not humble, you're projecting certain perception that's gonna make people not want to work with you. And like I at least on my side of things, the relationships I built, whether it was inside or outside my company, is what like allow me to keep growing. So at the end of the day, it's a relationship. We're in a society, right? So it's all about how you interact with the rest of the world. But so I guess what I'm trying to say, it's not bad to be self-critical and have a little bit of imposter syndrome just because it's gonna allow you to look inside. And then you look inside, you're like, okay, you know what? These things I don't know, and that's okay. And this I know, great. So I guess what I'm trying to say, the imposter syndrome allows me to also keep my feet on the ground and be like, you know what? There's a lot of things that I need to improve. So
I think that fun is underrated. And I think that the best things I've done in my career were because they were fun to me. Because they are like a challenge, but a fun challenge. And because I did it with people that were my team and we had fun and we laughed at whatever was wrong. And we were super tired, but it was fun, and we also, I don't know, we went to many bars, and we toasted a lot, and we celebrated what was good, and I have a monkey mind. I mean, I'm always overthinking. But the best things in my career were just because it was fun to do them, and even with an artist or anything, like, how am I going to get Rocio to put my artist in the cover of Friday Music, that thing. And it is like, oh, it's impossible. This artist, nobody knows him. But let's do this and let's do the other and let's, I don't know, move that little thing, the strategy, the fun, but enjoying it. Because if you don't enjoy it, this life is so short. In the best of cases, they give us 90 years to live, 100 years to live. And if you don't enjoy it, I mean, it's a torture.
It's okay to feel a little insecure, but understand it, grasp it, and assimilate it, and then do something about it. Because what you said is probably the most important thing that you can do to move forward, and is don't be afraid. I remember, I don't remember where I saw it. I know that there was in a poster in an interview that I did with Sheryl Sandberg on Facebook that said, what would you do if you weren't afraid? But then I think that it was Mother Teresa who said it. I don't know who to attribute it to, but that phrase, what would you do if you weren't afraid? I think is very important for us to think about all the time.
Yes.
I want to do this, but I'm afraid. Well, if you weren't afraid, what would you do? I would make that call.
Exactly.
I would do that, right? So, I mean, it sounds so simple, but we got to take action, We got to
and be okay with competition too, because of course this is an industry of competition, right? But it's cómo tú la asimilas, right? Cómo tú puedes trabajar ese be competitive in a way que no te hagas daño, right? But a good competition, it's always fair.
I think Latina women sometimes have to work 3 times as much. But the good news is that we can, because we have that superpower.
Thank you so much. It's been amazing.
Thank you so much for your time and all that you've shared with us.
Yes, it's been a privilege, and there's been a lot of takeaways for both of us.
Thank you all for this wonderful kickoff for our Mentorship 2025 program. There's always something to learn when you've been in the industry for years or just starting. And those educational moments come about connecting leading ladies together. There's so much more to come. And to our aspiring Latin music creators, visit our website and check out all of our educational opportunities. You never know.